Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. This is episode 073, and today I am talking about all the things that I have been crocheting this week. Some of them are new projects, some of them are finished, some of them are works in progress that you've seen in previous weeks. So let me get into those now. I want to start with things that I have finished that had been works in progress in the past. So, biggest one, but also simplest one. This was nearly done last week, but this is just my little granny square backpack. And what I did end up doing was finally sewing in the lining. And I even used this yesterday. I took it to church, took it to an event, got some compliments on it. But yes, love how that turned out. Love how I have that lining in there. And I was able to fit a couple of different projects in there along with my other necessities. So that was also kind of a bonus. So this could be a project bag as well as just a regular kind of purse. Glad to have that done. Love how it turned out. The next thing I have finished is this hat. This is the Crocheted Seafarer's hat by Beth Hall, and I used Ella Rae Classic Superwash in the color 32. So this took right around 200 yards, maybe 210. And so now I know when I have a hank about that much of a worsted weight that I'll be able to get one of these out of it. I did use a 6.0 millimeter hook on it, and it has that nice thick brim. And it did end up laying mostly flat at the top. Let me try it on for y'all real quick. Okay, so what I love about this hat is it does have some structure up here. I know that slouchy hats have been the style for a while, but then it kind of moved into these kind of almost like conical, kind of pointy at the top. Anyway, I don't really have to follow the trends, but I do think it's fun to have a little bit of height maybe at the top, or in colder weather, you can tuck all of your hair up in there and it still looks kind of fun. I do love how thick the brim is. I do love that once it does get cold again, it'll keep my ears nice and warm. And yeah, very versatile hat. Love the color. It's not a color that I had in my selection of hats so far. So very glad to have that one done. Speaking of hats, I did decide to start a new one, actually of the exact same type, but this time I'm using Cascade 220 Heathers. This colorway is Cordovan, which is color number 9408. So this one is a yarn that I picked up at that more recent sale. I think my video just dropped the last Saturday. But here I am again. My poor little cake is already looking a little sad. Hopefully I won't have to do another yarn unwinding kind of video. But I figured these are so great. They're so versatile and they're such a favorite hat to pull to. And they are something that works for both the men and the women, both the boys and the girls in my family. So having a good stock of these, I would not be sad to have. And again, when there's just a single hank, this one has 220 yards on it for 100 grams or 3.5 ounces, about 200 meters. It's a great kind of one hank wonder. And it does take more yarn than maybe some other hats, but I really enjoy the effect of it, and so I'm happy to be making another one there. I am using my newer vintage 6.0 hook, and it's really interesting with this one because the thumb grip is just a little bit higher up here. This one is another made in the USA, but it's the Boy brand that has the quotation marks around it. I'm sure you cannot see that. I don't know why I'm trying. You see that a little bit better? So I think this puts it maybe in the 50s. I'll have to go and look, but it is just fun kind of using a different vintage hook and feeling ever so slight differences in how it performs, and also doing it with something that I've done in the past. It kind of reiterates that feeling, that sense of how those slight tweaks in the tools can make a difference in your crochet experience. Not a bad difference, but just interesting to think about. So that's a happy new beginning, but let me show you a beginning that I actually completed this week, and this is what took a lot of my time because I decided to use a size E hook. Teeny tiny little buddy there, very small, and I was using a worsted weight, a 4-weight yarn. I was using Caron Simply Soft. So what did I make with this tiny little thing? My mushroom cat. This is a pattern from Little Crochet Farm, and thank you, Lee Mack, for suggesting that all the way back in the day. You were the first person that introduced me to that website, and I thought I'm gonna have to actually try to make some of the amigurumi off of there. Now, in the future, I will not be using this tiny of a hook. I feel like I'm kind of a slow learner when it comes to amigurumi, but you know, you're trying to make your stitches so super tight, but I'm already a really tight crocheter. So whereas most people for amigurumi might go down maybe 1 or 2 hook sizes from what the yarn suggests, I need to make sure it's only like 1 hook size. Anyway, the pattern that I based this little guy on is the Dracula cat, the vampire cat. I'll have that linked below. But this is my entry into Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After. Cassandra's challenge of the Mix and Match challenge, where you take a design and you put together a little amigurumi, mixing and matching different patterns to get the effect that you want. So for this little guy, the design elements that I changed were making the overalls. I did make his legs a little bit longer and his waist a little bit longer just to make sure that the overalls kind of fit up in there and had some space. I did some back loops only on this row so I could go back in and add in the overall bib. And then I just did a double width of yarn to do the straps there. For the crochet mushroom hat, I looked at a pattern that I'd done for Bruno the polar bear to look at how his hat was done to keep the ears out. And then I also looked at a pattern for colorful mushrooms that I've used in the past from In the Yarn Garden. And that's kind of what I fudged my way around to get the mushroom hat. So the original design actually did come from my household. I'll show that to you right now. So here's our inspiration, and here is the manifestation. Here is the critter itself. How do you think I did? It did challenge me a little bit to do the face because I just used straight up embroidery thread and I tried to crochet it right onto the surface of the face. So that was a little bit of a challenge. I'm still learning in my embroidery on amigurumi. But other than that, I think I did a pretty okay job. The colors that I used here were off of Ogos. And so I remember that this one is almond, and so it's not a pure white, it's kind of a blotchy, like you'll have little brown blotches in there. So it's a little bit mottled, but not severely. Because this design originated in my house, I could tell you that the outline of the cat is actually in like a brown color. So I thought that that kind of worked all right with my my mix and match cat here. In terms of doing the spots on the hat, I just took embroidery thread and I went over and made some dots, like went over a stitch maybe 5 or 6 times. And so I'm not going to mind the fact that that looks kind of messy in there because it's going to stay on his head. It's not really a big deal there. But yes, this was indeed a challenge. I'm going to drop in some footage real quick of me working on this project. You will hear how squeaky that yarn is. My husband and I were sitting together and he had his earphones in and was listening to something, and even he could hear the squeak. So this took a lot of my crochet time this week. This was a lot of concentration and a little bit of frustration, but ultimately we got there in the end. So again, thank you, Cassandra, for hosting this super fun kind of challenge and allowing me and my family to participate. If you haven't noticed before, Cassandra did award the winning design with a beautiful box of goodies, and one of them was this gorgeous bear that she made. It was so surreal unpacking that and seeing one of her very own bears. It made my heart so happy. She brought so much delight to my entire family. So again, thank you, Cassandra, for that beautiful, beautiful package. And no, I'm not hoarding this from the children. It just likes to live up there with the other amigurumis. So yes, if ever the children want to play with her, they're more than welcome to. It's just going to live up there, not in their room right now, because it is special. I want to keep it really special. So 2 happy little friends. Thank you again, Cassandra, and what a joy to have that done. Now, if you want to participate in the Mix and Match Challenge, it is running through the end of May, and I've already seen several other YouTubers with their makes, and they are just magnificent. It's such a joy to see so many different little happy little overall cats with mushroom hats running around in the interwebs. I'll definitely link Cassandra's channel, and I will link any of the other YouTubers that I know of as of right now. I know that Pamela over at Ginger Cat Crochet has one. I know that Caroline of For the Love of Crochet has one. And if anyone else has one that I haven't mentioned, you feel free to drop it in the comments below. Cassandra will do a video showing all the different mix and match mushroom hat cats at the end of May. And so yeah, check out her channel for more information there, especially if you would like to participate. Is there anything else at all that I've been crocheting this week? Well, actually, yes. Small things. I wanted to try out the Lion brand Just Hemp that I got from the sale over at Smart Arts and Crafts this past little bit. I had the colors lilac and olive, and so I just took a 5.5 millimeter hook and I decided to make some coasters. In terms of hemp, it's not a fiber I'd ever really worked with before, but I thought, hey, it's washable. These are interesting colors to me, kind of muted, and I thought, let's just do some coasters and we'll see how they turn out. Now, I based these, I believe, on the citrus coasters, but those call for a much smaller weight of yarn. This yarn is actually classified as a size 5, but it didn't quite feel that way. And then when I washed it, it did draw up some, but I ironed it out and they turned out pretty nice. So yeah, small thing, just an interesting kind of thought of trying a new fiber. I do need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of that yarn because I do want to use it. I don't know that I need a full set of 8 coasters. Maybe I do. Maybe that's just the easiest thing to do. Or if I want to do like a hot pad or something coordinating to go along with these. Do let me know in the comments if you have ever used hemp yarn and what you've used it for. I would be really interested to get some ideas for other projects with this. I don't think that Lion Brand is making just hemp anymore. I don't think it went over super well, but it is one of those natural fibers that if I can have more of it in my life, it's a wonderful thing to have. So glad to see how these turned out. I actually really do like them. And yeah, let me know what you think I should do with the rest of that. There's one other work in progress that I have been making some progress on, and that is just this beautiful little wrap sweater. And it doesn't look like hardly anything right now. It's just the back panel that I'm working on. But this is a design from MJ's Off the Hook Design, and you work up the back and then you come around the front. And yeah, it's just a very kind of mindless project, but again, it's great for sitting in the car, watching sports ball things. I'm just working slowly but surely up the back panel here, and hopefully I will finish that this week and start actually putting some shape to that sweater. Oh yes, and I feel like I keep saying one more thing, but one more thing. Crystal's Shawl-Along. Y'all, I have been working hard to keep up. And as of right now, as of time of recording, I am caught up. So I have all those, 41 or so rows done. You see all of these threads hanging off. I'm on my 3rd ball of this yarn that I'm using, and the second one, for whatever reason, had so many knots in it. I kept picking out the knots and just restarting because I'll sew those in later, but I must have picked out 3 or 4 knots, which is actually a little discouraging. And none of the other balls of yarn have been the same way, but that one kind of was. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Here is where we are so far. In this light, it is kind of looking all mottled together, kind of marled together. You don't really see a lot of the distinct colors, but it is quite lovely. It really is stretching me. It's really challenging me to keep going on this in so many ways, just because it's a style that I would not necessarily gravitate towards. It's a format that I wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards. And it's colors that are challenging me as well. So I'm really thankful that I am doing it. It is good to kind of push ourselves and grow. And I'm excited that hopefully this week we'll see the last bit posted and I'll be able to finish this off. After that, I will block it all out and I will show it off. So thank you again to Crystal for hosting the Shawl-Along, and again for all the ways that she has invested in us as crocheters in this community and really helped us stretch and grow. And yes, I am putting it back in a bag from the yarn shop that I got it from. That's the little rustling sound that you hear. Whew, so that is it for me this week. somewhat feels like a lot, but it's smaller finishes and then some bigger ongoing projects. Some of y'all have asked why I call my channel a slow crochet if I seem to continue to finish things at a somewhat rapid pace. I think it's more an indication of how I use every opportunity I can to crochet. And yeah, smaller projects are quicker finishes, but it is such a joy to me to be able to share all this with y'all. I love hanging out with y'all in the comments. So thank you to everyone who spends time with me there. Thank you for all of your encouragement. It is such a joy and such a blessing to be part of your lives, and I don't take that for granted. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon.